You have a story. What if I could show you how to turn your personal story into a paid speech, even if you think your story isn't that important? Hello, I'm Cantor Simmons, and welcome to Monetize You, where we talk about how to build a profitable speaking business before the stage, on the stage, and after the stage. And in today's video, I want to give you 3 messages that you want to have dialed in so that you can build a profitable keynote speech, workshop, whatever you're doing, whatever you're speaking, whether you're doing a coaching program, whether you are running a membership program. These 3 messages you must have in your arsenal. Now, if you stay to the end of this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually turn this speech into a money-making speech. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can scale this thing up to $100,000 plus if you stay to the end. Now, you may say to yourself, Cantus, my story isn't important. Now, one of the things that I've learned over the last 20 plus years is that event planners, people who book speakers, they don't bring you in just for information. No, they don't bring you in for information. They bring you in for transformation. You see, I believe that your story, regardless of what it is, event planners want to see that if you went through something, guess what? Can you show the audience how they can go through their something? Can you take your personal story and wrap it in a framework that brings about transformation in the audience? And guess what? If you can do that, event planners have no problem paying you $5K, $10K, $20K, $100,000 plus for your personal story. And I'm going to show you 3 messages that you want to dial in. So let's jump right into this. Message number 1 that you want to have dialed in is your signature story. Yeah, your signature story. What is that story? What's the messaging that makes you unique? For example, right? I'm the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. Now, here's the reason I can call this a signature story, because I don't know anybody else right now who has 7.25 stories. But guess what? My signature story is based around how I was born and the mess that I went through because of this really cool birth defect. Now, why do I call it a cool birth defect? Because that's a part of my signature story, right? This cool birth defect, at one time, it was my mess, but now it's my message. And the amazing thing about it is that everybody in life has their own personal mess. And so with my signature story, I talk about my mother and how I was born, and the thoughts that I had growing up, and how I had this stinking thinking because of my mess. But I also talk about how over a time, I began to realize, and I say this in my speech, hey, like, quit looking at what you don't have and focus on what you do have. Guess what? That's a part of my signature story. It's a part of my signature story how even with these 7.25 fingers, I was able to go to college debt-free. I was able to go to college all on scholarships. I was able to land my dream job at NASA. I was able to land another dream job at SIBA Vision. Guess what? That's all a part of my signature story. Being the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers who was the schoolboy. Now, guess what? Because this is my signature story and it matters, now I can show other people how to get through their mess. So the first message you want to have dialed in is your signature story, all right? Your signature story. What are those things that are unique about your story? Now, you may say, Cantus, I have all my fingers, or I don't have all of the depressing things that maybe you went through or somebody else went through. Guess what? It doesn't matter. Here's what you want to ask yourself when it comes down to your signature story. What challenges did you face? Yeah, what challenges did you face? And out of that, what lessons did you learn? One of the lessons that I learned with my signature story is that, listen, this is just physical. This was a physical situation. But because I didn't deal with it, it became mental. So the lessons that I learned is that, hey, you can have a physical mess, but a lot of people got mental messes, right? You got this stinking thinking. You have this crazy way of self-sabotage. You have this crazy way of doubting yourself. Because I felt like, hey, if people didn't accept me here, maybe they wouldn't accept me here. And so the question for you is, what challenges do you face? What lessons did you learn? And how is your life better? Yeah, how is your life better now because of the lessons that you learned? Now, your signature story, when you share it, when you tell it, you want to be able to customize this thing so that the people in the audience are blessed by it. Listen, your signature story is not about you. Your signature story is about them. So that's the first message that you want to have dialed in to turn your story into a paid speech. All right. Here's the second thing. The second message you want to have dialed in is your signature solution. Yeah, is your signature solution. Now, one of the cool things about my signature story is that I spent 25 years in school, right? I was the cool guy in school and got good grades and was able to go to school on scholarships, able to work my dream job, now able to speak all around the world. Now, guess what? My signature story leans into my signature solution, right? I help STEM students and educators learn STEM, love STEM, and live STEM, even if they don't know where to start, right? So guess what? My solution, my signature solution, is taking everything I have as a cool nerd, as a scientist guy, to put this around a framework. Now, guess what? In my signature solution, I can say, hey, here's 7.25 ways to learn STEM, love STEM, and live STEM. Even in the academic space, my play your A game speech, my solution is I help students play their A game so they can succeed in school and succeed in life by showing them how to stay motivated, remain focused, and get the skills they need to succeed in the classroom. Guess what? That's a solution. Now, here's what I do. Now I give them 7.25 ways, right? 7.2 is my framework, 7.25 study skills, or 7.25 learning study habits, 7.25 ways to craft your signature speech, 7.25 things you want to do when you build your speaker website. So now your signature story goes to your signature solution. Now I want you to ask yourself, what is it about you? What's your 3-step, your 5-step? What's your framework? What's your roadmap to help people now get results? People want transformation, and you want to have dialed in the second area, your signature solution. Okay? Now, here's the third message you want to get dialed in. The third message you want to get dialed in is your signature speech. All right, your signature speech. Now, your signature speech is not just you sitting on stage talking about your story. You know, a lot of times people feel like their story is their speech. No. Your signature story plus your signature solution combined together creates this signature speech. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people miss it, not knowing how to take their stories and their solutions and weave them in to develop a money-making speech. By the way, in a few days here, I'm having a live training called moneymakingspeech.com. This is where I'm going to actually take the time to show you how to turn this speech into a $100,000 plus business. Why? Because your signature story plus your signature solution creates your signature speech. Like when you look at the framework or the flow of your speech, you know, I believe I put it in a sandwich framework. But the idea is, as I'm telling my speech has the opening, my speech has my signature story, my speech has my solutions, my framework, all in that speech. Have some humor, have some to-do actions, have some motivation, have some inspiration, have some exciting stories. have some stories that hit the heart, prick the heart. But can you frame your signature speech? At the end of the day, I always recommend that people take the time to take their emotional story. Like, can you tell your story in so many different ways that triggers different responses? Right? Can you tell your story in a very comedic way? Can you tell your story in a very maybe emotional way? Can you tell your story in such a way that people like, man, I connect with this? And then in the middle of that, how do you bring in your practical solutions? Right? Do you give so many tips and ideas that people can't remember it? Or can you carve and craft it so people get it? Not just saying a speech, but knowing how to show a speech. So when people hear it, they hear those one-liners, they hear those punchlines, and they grasp them, and they can hold them for the next day, next week, next year, for a lifetime. And then lastly, like, what's your close? What's the thing in your speech now where people hear it, they're motivated to take action? They're so motivated that they remember your message in such a way that, guess what? Their lives are never, ever the same. It's all about transformation, right? It's all about information. And guess what? I want to help you be able to turn your signature story, your signature solution, and your signature speech into a profitable 100K business. That's why, listen, I'm having a really cool live training coming up here. Click the link down below. I'm going to show you exactly how to build out your money making speech. I'm going to show you how to build a profitable business, showing you everything that you want to do before the stage, on the stage, and after the stage. Remember this, your story can be a paid speech. Your story can transform somebody's life. Your story can make the world a better place. Hey, watch this next video where I go deeper into how to build out a profitable business, from the promotions to the presentation to the products. I'll see you in the next video.